Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. One of the most interesting and well-matched heavyweight fights coming up in the next few weeks is Hemi Ahio vs Faiga Opelu, which will feature on the David Nika undercard on the 14th of September in Auckland, New Zealand. So the first fight, that went to Faiga Opelu in an upset. He stopped Hemi Ahio in the 4th round of their fight in a somewhat controversial stoppage because the referee did look to jump in prematurely, and I'll play a little clip here so you can see this is the end of the fight. What did precede it though was Faiga Opelu having a fast start, letting his hands go. The style matchup meshed really well, and as you can see with this clip, a pretty soft ending, but the referee adjudged that Hemi Ahio wasn't doing enough, wasn't protecting himself, and he didn't want to see any more, and it went to Faiga Opelu with a stoppage win. And that was an upset, so that was the best part of, what, 2 years ago. But I think what we can say about that is, from what we've seen with Faiga Opelu in the first fight, the second fight is going to promise, I think, more of the same in terms of action, because it wasn't all one-way traffic. Sure, you had Faiga Opelu starting fast, but he was also, you know, taking some shots from Hemi Ahio. But as we saw against Lucas Brown and some others in his career, Faiga Opelu, when he can get the chance to get off and put you under pressure and let his hands go, you know, he can rack up some rounds. And that was pretty much the first, 3 rounds and into the 4th round of that fight, where he was applying a huge amount of pressure. And ultimately, that was telling and influenced clearly the referee's decision to call the fight to an end, because he was putting pressure on and landing, not at will, but he was certainly having a lot of success. But I think many of us seeing that fight and seeing the stoppage thought it was highly premature. So I bet you Hemi Ahio will not want to have the same referee as he had for that fight, which was, what was it, back in 2022, was it on the Haney Kambosos card? Yeah, and since then what we've had is a couple of comeback fights. There was a pretty soft lob up first back, and then he stopped Amron Sands, good win, and then he stopped Lucas Brown in a round. That was earlier this year. That was on the Lomachenko card. So probably one of the fights where I don't really know anyone who saw that fight, because it wasn't on the TV broadcast. So that was a shame. That actually retired Lucas Brown. And that is a common opponent for Ahio and Faiga Opelu, who since that win over Hemi Ahio back in October 2022, he's had a technical draw with Chris Tversky. That one ended in a technical draw because there was an injury, Opelu collapsed onto Tversky and he had an injured ankle. But he lost to Joseph Parker. He was stopped in a round. Also had a comeback against Mostin Niemann, and had a stoppage loss in the last round of his fight with Joseph Guru. Faiga Opelu, he's currently rated number 64 in the world, and they have Hemi Ahio at number 68. And actually, I mean, that's not unfair. These guys are both, solid guys, but I think they have their level. A little bit undersized as well, at or around 6 foot or so. But what we saw in the first fight, we're going to see more in the second fight. The styles meshed well. Both these guys like to fight primarily on the inside, sometimes at mid-range, but they like to get their work done. A lot of short punches. We saw a lot of good body work from Faiga Opelu in the first fight. You could see it was taking something from Ahio. There was a few reactions, but it wasn't like towards the end of the fight that you thought that Ahio was about to get absolutely his head caved in or anything like that. So this is good. We are seeing the rematch, and it's an interesting card because there are some other heavyweight fights on here as well. You've got the interesting Australian prospect, Alex Leapai Jr. He's going to be on there. Former All Black Liam Messam is on there. Also Patrick Mailata, so the Commonwealth Games bronze medalist from 2018 it might have been. He's also featuring in the card. Actually, his last fight was a split decision loss to Antonio Moriles on a Top Rank card. That was a really good fight. Maybe a little bit unlucky in that one, but good fight nonetheless. So good to see him back. He hasn't had a fight since then. That was well over a year ago, but he has been also in that Team Combat League sort of tournament format. Also another unbeaten heavyweight, probably going to butcher the name here, Ula Ma'u. So interested to see him and also hear the pronunciation of the name on the broadcast. So some decent sort of, heavyweight action to sort of feast on. This is going to be on DAZN worldwide, and I think it's going to be a DAZN pay-per-view in New Zealand for whatever reason. This is not a pay-per-view card, so kind of ridiculous. But anyway, for, I guess that's not uncommon for New Zealanders and also Australians in terms of getting overcharged for what really is, I think, in terms of cards worldwide, it's not a super strong card. The main event's not exactly one that everyone's going to be going, oh, I have to tune in for that, but it does sort of progress David Nika in his career against Blake Caparello. But this event, Faiga Opelu and Hemi Ahio, you can see here from the training camp a couple of different shots here. Both look in decent condition, and this fight could propel them to something a little bit bigger, put them back on, if there's another big card coming to Australia, either Matchroom or something similar, Top Rank, if they come over with something, they could end up sort of featuring on that. Faiga Opelu made that last big opportunity count, and Hemi Ahio will be looking for the revenge. It was unexpected, maybe didn't help himself, didn't throw enough punches. He allowed himself to get hit quite a bit in that one, didn't really sort of throw up much in the way of defense, but it should mesh well. Again, you can see here Ahio in camp, Joseph Parker talking to him. So I like this fight. I think that it's going to gel well again. There's going to be a lot of punches. I think Hemi Ahio should not be surprised when Faiga Opelu starts fast again. I think he's going to have to be punching a bit more with him, throwing, in between Opelu's shots and trying to catch and counter. Otherwise, if you get another referee who gets a bit iffy about all the pressure, all the success, it could drop in, could stop it again unexpectedly. As you saw from that clip, and here's right at the end of that one, Ahio was shocked, and understandably so, but sometimes if you don't throw enough, you can put the decision into the referee's hands to call things off. So I think it was a good learning opportunity for Ahio, and I like this fight. I think this adds a lot to that card in terms of entertainment value, and also there is a little bit of divisional relevance because these guys could climb up into a good sort of top 30, top 40 level fight with someone who's climbing the ranks. And obviously Hemi Ahio had designs on going much higher before he was unexpectedly stopped. So we'll have to see what happens in this one. I would hazard a guess Ahio will get the revenge here, but given what we saw in the first fight, expect Opelu to start fast and put it on Ahio and really test and challenge him again. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.